10 things I think about humanism. Or 10 questions. Number 1, is humanism a religion? Raise your hand if you say yes. Raise your hand if you say no. Raise your hand, I don't know. You can see where we're going. Sandy brought up the Humanist Manifesto, first written in 1933, authored and signed by many Unitarians and Universalists. It said, religion consists of those actions, purposes, and experiences which are humanly significant. Nothing human is alien to the religious. It includes labor, art, science, philosophy, love, friendship, recreation, all that is in its degree expressive of intelligently satisfying human living. The distinction between the sacred and the secular can no longer be maintained. That's a definition. The Humanist Manifesto number 2, signed in the 1970s, moved away from that idea. It was deeply anti-theist and said, some humanists believe we should reinterpret traditional religions and reinvest them with meanings appropriate to the current situation. Such redefinitions, however, often perpetuate old dependencies and escapisms, impeding the free use of intellect. We need instead radically new human purposes and goals. Rewritten in 2003, moving away from religious language altogether, saying humanism is a progressive life stance, a life stance that lifts up humanity. Curtis Reese, who's the founder of the American Humanists Association and a Unitarian minister, he used a definition of religion that I like. He said, religion is redefined as loyalty to life. Loyalty to life. In his mind, thus anything can become religious if it's moral and it's good and it promotes life. That's only one possible definition, of course. Some humanists don't want to be identified as religion at all. Curtis Reese redefined his definition to do away with something he called shibboleths, which he said the test of purity, that if you say that word, you're not in the group. Or if you don't say it that way, you're not in the group. He said, no, everything is religious. Humanists from the UUA website say, we are religious in that we share with most UUs the natural human desires for a beloved and accepting community, a purpose greater than ourselves. Warm-hearted people to do good in the world. Is humanism a religion? Is humanism religious? I think so. Many of our religions that we celebrate have evolved and become more and more humanist throughout time. Ancient deities had no time for humans. More recent deities seem to be deeply involved with humanity. Is humanism a shallow faith? No. I think it's deep, valid, affirming. If it's something that's called loyalty to life, I think it's an incredible well of wisdom that we might draw on in Unitarian Universalist circles. It consists of those actions and purposes that are humanly significant with no need for a deity. And if we use Curtis Reese's definition, then everything can be religious if it promotes life with no need for supernatural meaning. Does that not make humanism the most religious religion? I think it offers us a great gift that we're going to end with today. Number 4, is humanism just for white people? No. In fact, humanism is predominantly white, as is Unitarian Universalism. A book by Chris Cameron lifts up that in 1842 there was a slaveholder and Presbyterian minister. What are we doing? who found that amongst the enslaved people on his plantation, he found deists, skeptics, universalists, atheists, agnostics, and he was amazed because he thought those kinds of thoughts and feelings were only the realm of scientists and philosophers. And by that, he means white people. But there's a long history of black free thoughts, ranging from the anti-religious, atheist, agnostic, people who practice Yoruba religion, non-traditional religions, private meditations, people including Frederick Douglass, ever heard of him? Zora Neale Hurston, ever heard of her? Nella Larson, Langston Hughes, A. Philip Randolph, W.E.B. Du Bois, James Forman, and Huey Newton. Ever heard of them? Did you know that they were humanists? I did not. In fact, Forman and Newton, black atheists who empowered black folks to practice self-defense and reclaim black power, was in direct opposition to the Christianity of Martin Luther King Jr. Something to wrestle with as we talk about that man next week. Finally, Alice Walker, one of my favorites, womanist writer and theologian, a womanist and humanist whose womanism theology influenced non-humanist theologians. In fact, it's often left out was what her personal religious beliefs are. The book by Chris Cameron lists up that the most important part of black free thought is its more recent institutionalization. We've quoted Dr. Tony Penn here a few times. There are a few black humanist groups, Black Atheists of America, African Americans for Humanism, and black non-believers, but they are all formed and institutionalized only since the 1990s, some only in the past decade. It is a small but mighty group. Number 5, how might we communicate our humanism to one another? We could get pamphlets and stick them in the pews. We could put something on our website. We could share our stories with our visitors who see a traditional looking building and might not know the diversity of thought within these walls. Or specifically, wink, wink, we could apply to be part of the Free Thinker Friendly program through the UUA and the UU Humanist Association. Free Thinker Friendly program. I'm not going to explain it because I want you to do a little research. I think we ought to. How do we share our humanism to those on the inside? Do we share our stories with one another? Do we honor the pain that people bring into this building, especially the pain associated with traditional religious language? In reading some of my research, I found this quote from a UU humanist. "I'm in the boat that doesn't require secularists like me to leave our integrity behind. Like Michael Warner says in Regaining Balance, religious language has become a manipulative tool that allows us to pretend that we're all talking about the same things when in fact there are irreconcilable differences. I agree with him. The UUA will either cling to the religious language of the Dark Ages or accept the challenge to create the poetry of the future. Others are already creating this poetry. I wish the UUA all the best, but I will be in the boat that's heading for a bright, non-delusional future." You might hear those words as harsh. You might hear those words as, yes, true and needed. Regardless, there is pain behind that. What tools and stories can we give to folks? Can we share to let someone know that they are not alone if you are part of the free thought movement? How might we prevent shibboleths, purity words? I admit I wrestle with this because I have been in a Unitarian Universalist congregation or have been told, we do not say that here. You cannot say that here. How might we prevent that? What might it mean to be together and sing each other's songs while recognizing that one of the last acceptable bigotry is towards non-believers? How many non-believers do we have in political office? When people speak about coming out as an atheist, that pain is real. Number 7, what can non-humanists learn from humanists? How to be nice to one another. But also, how not to be nice. I wonder what might happen if we practiced a spongy faith, because I think that is the great gift of humanism. I want to view humanism as a great, deep, life-affirming life stance, a powerful religion that has a lot of wisdom to teach us, because that's my orientation. I speak in religious language. And I worry about identifying as a humanist, even though I love humanism ideals. I don't want to appropriate, right? And then I read this. The great gift of humanism is the invitation to drink a little or a lot, to choose to keep coming back, take all of it, or examine it critically and disregard most of it. What a gift. What a theology without the supernatural. What an invitation. The great gift of humanism, to drink a little or a lot, to keep coming back to a place where, as Rita told me when we were coming up with this service, a place like Restoration. She said, I felt like I fit in better than I had anywhere else, even when I didn't always agree. How rare is that? That you fit in here, even if you don't always agree. Number 9. Is humanism the religion of the future? Maybe. Certainly seems to be headed that way. Humanism has become more and more prevalent throughout our evolution. It may very well be the religion of the future, the life stance of the future, if there is anything left like traditional religion in the future. It may very well be that I am out of a job, and yet the invitation to drink a little or a lot, to bring all that you are, to promote humanity, to promote life, to be loyal to life, that great gift that humanism reminds us it is in our hands to do with what we will. That we do not have to read it in a book, we do not have to do it because someone told us to, that we do it because it is the right thing to do. That gift remains. Number 10, what is humanist theology? It is that promise that you fit in here better than you do anywhere else. That you can come here and be welcomed. Drink a little or drink a lot. What a holy thing, if we might use that word. What a deep and profound theological statement that you are welcome here even if you don't always agree. I need you to hear that. That is so profound. How needed is that message? That love, that grace, that flexibility, that sponginess. That being together means singing each other's songs. Humanism tells me this is all we are. And humanism tells me this is all we are. How profound. Friends, in this election year, may we live with integrity by living out our truths. May we tear down shibboleths that say, you are not welcome here. In the rarely welcoming outer world to those who are non-believers, may we be a haven, a sanctuary. May people find this place where humanist voices are centered and lifted up, and the reminder that it is in our hands to do so. It is in our hands to be the welcome wagon. It is in our hands to embrace another, to herd people in to the sanctuary when it feels like the world outside is burning. Even when they don't always agree. Even when we hear notes that may not perhaps fit in our experience, may we listen for the jazz instead. May we keep asking questions, keep thinking about what we think, and may we always come back to the table in love. May it be so.